Please join me in welcoming Dave Maley to Ariba Live.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. Hello, Ariba Live. Thank you for that welcome. It is great to be here, isn't it? I mean, for all of us, it's great to be here. Great that we get to be in a room like this with all this procurement knowledge. So, I'll tell you, yesterday was fabulous, wasn't it? The keynote speakers, the breakout sessions, the networking last night was a lot of fun. And today promises to be just as good, beginning right here. Soon enough, we'll be back at the office, and your boss may well ask, well, what'd you learn? Was it worth it? So I put some nuggets in this presentation here that'll help you there, okay? I want to share with you the people, process, and technology of our strategic sourcing at Kohl's. The way we use cross-functional teams and our sourcing process and Ariba upstream and downstream. I'll also talk for a little bit about business cases, because I know many of you are building a business case, or perhaps you have some Ariba functionality and are looking to expand it. And then finally, I want to focus on the innovative use of the Ariba network and mobile technology that we've developed along with Ariba that really fits the theme here of enabling the business of tomorrow today. You all know Kohl's. I know many of you love Kohl's, right? It's a great place to shop. We've grown from our Midwest roots to now 1,158 stores in 49 states, 140,000 employees. Corporate office in Wisconsin, so if you get tired of this desert heat, come on back with me. I think we got about another month's worth of ice fishing. So, and, a lot of national brands, private brands, exclusive brands, as we said in the intro. Here's the full brand matrix, a lot of icons that you recognize. And I guess what should resonate so well for this procurement audience about Kohl's is the deal that you get, right? The value that you get for your money at Kohl's. Because, the regular prices are very competitive, but then when you walk around a Kohl's store, something's always on sale. And then they'll send you discount coupons in the mail, you know what I'm talking about, the peel to reveal. So you peel it off and you say extra 15% off or extra 20% off or, there's my 30% off. So then you get to the checkout and they give you Kohl's cash. It's like they're paying you to shop, So then there's a few times each year where we can share friends and family discount coupons, which is an extra 20% off. And that turns out to be this weekend. So we're all friends here now, right? So I brought along a big stack of friends and family coupons for everybody that we'll distribute be on your lunch table today. So make use of that. I hope. Thank you. In fact, take one back for your boss. That'll start that was it worth it conversation off really well, right? So, okay, enough of that. Well, let me tell you about our strategic sourcing team. Our mission is straightforward. We help Kohl's professionally manage spend, right? We help Kohl's professionally manage spend. It just begs the question, what do you mean by professionally managed spend, right? I mean, I thought you purchasing guys just wanted cost savings, and it certainly is that. We generate a lot of hard savings and cost avoidance, but it's, as I said in the intro, about performance metrics and protecting the company. We are what you'd call a center-led, center of excellence org structure, align the teams to support all the major areas of spend within the company. And as Rachel said, in addition to sourcing, we manage the distribution of supplies to all the stores. This gives us a lot of diversity so we can have rotational growth opportunities and move people from area to area and get more experience, grow, promotional opportunities. We have no mandate to use our services, so it's a matter of connecting with people and solving their problems as we go area to area. And I'm really pleased to say in the 7 years that I've been with Kohl's, we've grown it from about $150 million in negotiations to $2 billion in annual negotiations in areas like store supplies. We do all the logistics, store facilities, services, all the IT, construction, support quite a few areas. So Our history with Ariba goes back to 2006, and I divided it into 3 phases, okay? So we'll take them one at a time and actually show you the tool here today. Phase 1, started in 2006, was Ariba sourcing module only. It was a hosted CD version, and believe it or not, we got our start doing reverse auctions on private brand merchandise. So that's Sonoma, Croft & Barrow, Apartment 9. We then, in '08, got the full upstream Ariba on demand. And then about a year and a half ago, in phase 3 here, got the downstream Ariba on premise. So we've been live now since October. When you think about business cases, and again, I know some of you are building them, in my experience, it comes down to one of 4 methods. And I always like to plot the path to the gold and take a direct path to as much value as quickly as possible. Because as we've heard, it's not only about value, but also time. So first way that many people do is they have a point solution. Essentially, I have a problem, I get one module to solve it, like spend visibility or a contract repository. And there it's easy to make a business case because everyone sees the problem and this module solves it, so build it and go. Some people buy all the upstream modules and really focus on strategic sourcing, and that's a great way to get some value. Others go with all the downstream modules, right? Let's get a control of this spend and put in some efficiency into PO and invoicing. Others go all in, upstream and downstream, and this is how we did it in my prior life at Limited Brands. We bought the upstream and the downstream, and the real value there is you get the savings from upstream and you can lock it in to downstream. That's called compliance, spend compliance. So, of course, at Kohl's we did it even a different way. We did it with a phased approach, which I think is really valuable too. And you kind of have to pick which method works in your organization and what your pain points are and what's going to work to get the proper funding and leadership support. We went with this phased approach. We got sourcing, and that generated enough savings that we then were able to fund the full upstream, which generated more savings, and then were able to get the downstream. And this made things more efficient so our people could focus on higher level tasks. So like I say, first we did Ariba sourcing, some reverse auctions. And you ever been in a reverse auction or seen one? This is the graph that comes out of, and you watch it live in Ariba sourcing module. Every line represents a bidder. Every point represents a bid. So you see here from 5 a.m. till 5:30, we had 8 suppliers. We got 50 bids in 30 minutes and saved 18%. That's what I call Kohl's cash, right? And that's instant credibility. Now, we don't do very many reverse auctions anymore, but this is a great way to generate and show credibility with your organization. At the same time we were doing these bids, there's other parts of strategic sourcing that are vitally important. We aligned on a sourcing process. And so this is our 6-phase sourcing process. It's discovery, strategy, pre-bid, bid, award, and implement. And within each one of these phases, there's tasks and there's templates and there's key meeting points at the end of strategy. I want to meet with the stakeholder leadership and make sure we're all aligned on what the strategy is. Then we go build the bid, and at the pre-bid, we have a pre-launch meeting where we make sure, let's go through the wording and let's make sure the contract terms are there and et cetera. So some people will say, well, wait, I thought it was 7-step or somebody had a 5-step, but it doesn't matter so much whether it's 5, 6, 7 or whatever. That it's most important that you align as an organization around the process. In addition, during this phase 1, we built out our set beyond reverse auction to all the other methods of sourcing and supplemented it with some non-Ariba capabilities like bid optimization and supplier risk monitoring. So from a financial perspective, I think strategic sourcing is the quickest path to value. And technically, a hosted Ariba sourcing solution is quick and easy to launch. We then, like I say, went to phase 2, and with that, we got the full upstream. There's lots of capabilities here, but I'll point to 3 of them that I think added the most value for us. Supplier registration is probably the most unsung benefit that saves both my team time and also connects with stakeholders. I'll show you that in a minute. Also, Ariba process management, or us old-timers will still call it ACM, but that enables that six-phase process to get systematized and built into the tool. Then a contract repository, right? Nothing's more embarrassing than to call a supplier and say, can you send me a copy of the contract? Never happened, I know, but to this group. But it's one of those unsung benefits, right? So here's KohlSuppliers.com. In fact, anyone that's a potential supplier can go to KohlSuppliers.com. I get, 3 or 4 phone calls a day from prospective suppliers, and they just want a few minutes of my time. I don't have time to do that and look up, well, when's the contract expire and all that stuff. So we've systematized this. Go to KohlSuppliers.com. You'll find out about what we buy, a little bit about our supplier diversity and programs like that. And then you click down here, and bang, you're right into Ariba, filling out the form. And I guess what's really cool about that is the questions within the registration form can be customized based on prior answers. So, for example, I have them tell me which commodity code that they're providing. I mean, are you a general contractor for construction or HVAC repair or whatever? Because they have different questions that we can capture. Ariba project management looks like this in the tool, and you can see instead of our 6-phase process left to right, it's now up and down each of these phases. And when you click on one, it opens up, and you can see the subtasks, and the worksheets are there, the templates for calculating switching costs or whatever type analysis we use. And then in addition, some non-Ariba functionality, but very important to a professional strategic sourcing team, evaluating supplier financial risk. And then we can even dump that out into an Excel spreadsheet and show a portfolio of suppliers. Cost modeling, again, not Ariba functionality per se, but really comes into play in a negotiation, and then we can use the other parts of Ariba to manage the contract and such. You can imagine in a Kohl store how many fluorescent light bulbs we buy across all the stores. It's a huge number. And they don't exactly tell you what kind of pixie dust they put inside the tubes, but it's part of rare earth metals, which if you know anything about that, the cost has gone way up and then way down. So important to build out on certain key bids like this for us, a full cost model. And you can look up with an NAICS code what the average profitability is for that sector, and so we know what what average total material cost, labor cost. I guess I never mind. I want, in fact, a supplier to be making money, right? I don't want my savings to come at the expense of their profit. I want to work with profitable companies because then they'll be there for us in the long term. In fact, really, I don't mind if they make a little bit more profit, but because I want to be working with above average companies, right? But then I'd expect that they can buy their materials at above average prices and that their operations are operating above average. So it actually goes from being the first conversation can be a bit confrontational, but it shifts it to really a partnership where we understand each other's costs and we become a great customer of theirs because I want them to make money. Of course, in phase 2, we did more bids. I tried to get a picture of a sealed bid, but it just doesn't work in PowerPoint. So here's another reverse auction. There are lots and lots of bids you can see, and in 30 minutes, again, 37%. So. And then once the negotiation is done, again, we do lots of sealed bids and face-to-face negotiations as well. Then the contract goes in the repository, and it's secure. Only certain people can see certain contracts by commodity code. And then there are reminders set up, so you get notified in advance of the expiration date that it's time to renew that thing. There's no sense in having it auto-renew if we should be having that conversation. So technically, Ariba upstream, very easy to implement, right? It's a software as a service. All of the workflows and commodity codes and all that's configurable. We did not need any customization. Probably the toughest part, though, is just deciding what it is we want. What is it? It's a perfect opportunity to align the signature authority across the enterprise or that type of thing. So think about that. The benefits of this phase 2, our full upstream, was significant, but I think the biggest one was the professional approach and the professional image that it gave our team and enabled us to spread the word across the organization and get more spend under coverage, as we call it. So now I want to take a moment and talk about the glamour side of my business, right? When you think about all the toilet paper that Kohl's buys for its 1,158 stores, that would circle the earth, what do you think? 1 time, 2.5 times, 5 times, 7.5 times, right? It's actually 7.5 times around the earth in a year. That's how much, that's just the, and if you think about it, it's, you really could call it 15 times because we do use 2-ply, so. Thanks for laughing at that. So we then go into phase 3, which was the downstream solution, which was clearly our largest investment. But how cool is it to get the results from sourcing plugged into the PO and invoicing process, and that all flows to what's called an OK to pay file. That is the official term, OK to pay file that to slide on over to the ERP system for payment. Technically, we've got the CD or on-premise version professionally hosted by Ariba and AT&T. We required significant customizations, which is why we went with this CD version. I'll show them to you in a little bit here. We have what's called then the hybrid integration, because if you think of it, upstream is in the cloud on demand, downstream is on-premise, CD, so that's what's called a hybrid integration, going from on-demand to on-premise. And there are some data limitations to what can flow, but all the basic information moves from what's called contract workbench upstream to contract compliance. So just so you can talk techie with the guys, it's contracts to contracts, upstreams to downstream is how that works. We're integrated to a non-SAP ERP system, PeopleSoft. And just because SAP bought Ariba, that doesn't change anything. Obviously, Ariba works great with SAP, works great with PeopleSoft or about any other ERP system, because they have what are called adapters that will connect to any ERP system. And to kind of calm down the finance people back home, you can say our ERP system remains the source of truth. I mean, all of the supplier master file, the account code structure lives there. And payments, of course, are all there. They can live in the ERP system and do all their reporting. There are jobs that run to pull information, all the vendor information, accounting information, then, like I say, push the OK to pay file back over into the ERP systems. So with the downstream, we got the full purchasing capabilities, right? REC and PO and on down into receiving and invoicing, all using Ariba through the network. So I show you our supply chain here because it's a little more complicated than just a catalog and I'm buying office supplies or computers and shipping it into my one location. What we focused on first was fixtures and visual items for stores, for new store construction and remodels. So it's very complex and everything's got to be there for the store to open on time, right? We ship some things directly to the store. Other things we ship to a distribution center and then on to the store. So using Ariba Buyer, customized along with the network, and an e-form, which if you're not familiar with that, that's using the workflow capabilities in Ariba, and it's pretty much a blank slate. I know somebody can talk about the limitations exactly, but basically you plot out the flow that you want. You can add approval steps or stop here and add this data, integrate to this system. It flows, and that's what gives us the ability to track the items throughout the entire supply chain here. This looks really complicated, but let me just take it a step at a time for you. Right? The buying team issues purchase orders to the suppliers. We get a PO confirmation, right? So early on, the supplier agrees with price and delivery. Then when they're ready to ship, we get an advanced shipping notice, and they ship it to, in this case, a Kohl's DC. When it arrives at the DC, we now know its receipt and who received it, and then if it's damaged or missing, we'll get real-time alerts that that's occurred. We can then track it as it ships on to the store, and similarly get a receipt and damaged and missing, and then, of course, an invoice. So full supply chain visibility. So I'll just pause here for a second. We've got, as I think I've shown, end-to-end process, right, from registration all the way through OK to pay file. We've got the price compliance, having upstream and downstream connected. We've got that sourcing knowledge repository so we can shift people around and they can get promotions without losing that sourcing information. And then supply chain visibility. But wait, as they say, imagine all the fixtures and visuals and construction material that goes into a Kohl store. I mean, it's huge. And when you think of a remodel, I mean, we're remodeling the store while it's still open. So precision deliveries are even more important in a remodel. When we do a remodel store, there's almost 2,000 unique items to buy, 50,000 total items. New stores are 3,400, about 180,000 total items. Visually, this is what a CAD drawing looks like of a Kohl store. I mean, it's just, you can zoom into any area and there's a lot of stuff that has to be bought. In fact, just imagine how long it takes to cut purchase orders and to verify pricing and do all of that when you're building a full store. So this is why we have Ariba downstream and it's so customized, because we use, they've helped us develop a really great capability to manage this massive amount of data, okay? We use a proprietary process, but basically it's a takeoff from the CAD drawing that becomes a rec import of a CSV file, and we apply the PO split rules. It goes out electronically then to our suppliers over the Ariba network. And what's really important is it used to take 3 weeks to cut all these purchase orders. It now takes 3 hours. I mean, not days, that's from 3 weeks to 3 hours to cut all those purchase orders. It's a huge benefit to Kohl's. But another challenge, I mean, when you think of all of that stuff arriving at a store, and a new store construction's pretty chaotic, and on a remodel, again, the timing at night is very precise because it all has to be done at night and set up again for opening in the morning. So how do you confirm that everything arrived, right? We got a clipboard and a paper checklist or something. So I said to Ariba, well, isn't there an app for that? And they said, sure enough, we'll build you an app. So I'm going to show you here and close with the app, the Kohl's e-receiving app, as we call it, that Ariba built for us. So you log in. It's on an iPhone or an iTouch, actually, we use, an iOS device. But I don't know, the resolution didn't maybe blow up quite perfect, but I think you get the point. You log in. Now we know which store and what name is doing the receiving. We download the data to the device, and this is how we can tell if something was missing. It should have arrived tonight. It did not arrive tonight. We get an alert that it did not arrive. It's great. And then you hit scan, and scan the barcode. So now instead of a checklist looking down a list, it's just scan the barcode, confirm the quantity. Scan the barcode, confirm the quantity. Scan the barcode, confirm the quantity. Then what if you find some damaged items? There's a camera. There's a camera on the iTouch, right? So now I can enter in comments as to what's damaged and take up to 3 pictures. When I hit save, it goes back not only to the buyer but to the supplier so they can produce more so the store opens on time. So great capability now that Ariba's built for Kohl's here. So in wrapping up here, try to show you our end-to-end applications. I think we really pushed the envelope, right, with this massive data import as well as the mobile receiving app, and which fits the bill here, the theme of enabling the business of tomorrow today. Thank you.